All right. All right. We're going to discuss this game in detail here, talk about what happened in this Browns game. We're going to get to the biggest thing, I think the most important thing in this game to address is one, this pattern of play calling, right? And I know the easy solution is, let's just take the play calling away from Kevin Stefanski. That's not the problem. Because if you remember last year when the Browns had a lead against Pittsburgh, the play calling went bad in the wild card game, and they didn't, that wasn't Kevin Stefanski calling the game from his couch. That was Alex Van Pelt doing the same exact thing we complain about Kevin Stefanski doing. This is something they need to realize as a complete offensive unit, all of the coaches. It's okay to put the ball at risk sometimes. It is okay to take some risk with the football. It's okay. It's okay. Because you know what the Chargers did today? They took all kind of ungodly risk with the football, but it paid off. That's how you get those big plays. When you take risk with the football, when you are being a little bit more aggressive. Now, I'm not saying let's go Baker Mayfield 2019 Freddie Kitchens this thing and just throw it up, but there has to be a better balance than what it is right now and it reminds me of if you go to Kevin Stefanski's first year as the offensive coordinator in Minnesota. When you watch Kevin Stefanski and Kirk Cousins that year, I remember the main takeaway being from the outside looking in, why is Kirk Cousins playing like he's scared to throw an interception? We now know that's more of a Kevin Stefanski thing than it is a Kirk Cousins or Baker Mayfield thing. That's something that Kevin likes to go. Now, to his credit, later on in the year, they let him loose. They let him go. Remember last year, beginning of the season, why is Baker playing like he's scared to death to throw an interception? Why is he throwing all these short plays? What's going on with the play calling here? And then later in the season, he lets him loose. Things look better. We're at the point to where it needs to be let loose just a little bit more. Offensively, that's really the only criticism I have. I'm not going to be difficult or critical on this offensive line, given that they had their third string right tackle and their third string left tackle in this game that had Joey Bosa and did not give up a sack. Offensive line played well. They played excellent, run and pass. They should have been trusted more, to be honest, in this game. I was disappointed that the coaching and the play calling didn't trust them. Run game, awesome, until it wasn't. It got shut down for a couple of drives there. Not really their fault. It was more or less penalties, right? They had a couple of penalties come up. We got Gotcha Lacey who says, I feel for Baker. Media is going to be down on him, saying he can't win a game this week. It's hard for a QB to win when the play calls aren't allowing it. There's a bit 50-50 in there, right? I'm not just going to throw that whole drive on Kevin Stefanski and say it was a play call. And Baker's got to be more willing to pull the trigger. Again, like last year, Baker is hesitant to pull the trigger sometimes on some of these deep balls when he should pull the trigger. Like he's pumping when he should just throw. I don't know if that has anything to do with the shoulder. Didn't seem like it. I mean, the man was 88% completion, 25 of 33, 300 yards and 2 touchdowns. So I don't think he was injured. I think he's fine. He can play good football, and he's capable of playing good football. It's just when they're in the fourth quarter, right? Remember last year versus the Bengals when he did make that drive, or whenever he does. It's because he's allowed to rip it downfield and really go hard. The Ravens game on Monday Night Football, he scored too fast because he's allowed to rip it downfield and really go at it. What I saw at the end of this drive was Baker not going with his instinct right there and not going downfield. Whenever I have ever seen Baker in that drive, and why I'm confident and was so confident that the Browns were going to win that game at the end, is because Baker is usually really good about ripping it downfield at the end of the games. That's what makes him so much different than Case Keenum or any other quarterback that the Browns have ever had, is because he is going to push that thing downfield. He did it last year. He did it versus the Chiefs, both times. But this game, He just didn't. He didn't rip it. It didn't look like he was going with his instinct. It looked like he was told to do something, and he was trying to execute that. Like, I have never seen Baker Mayfield in a 2-minute drive with no timeouts decide he's going to throw the check down. We know Baker is almost allergic to check downs at times. Like, that's not his instinct. That's what he's being coached there. So it needs to loosen up. It's tight right now. It's scared to lose. The coaching and the philosophy around the offense, it needs to loosen up a bit. The ideal that you're going to try to outsmart the rest of the NFL and only use Odell Beckham as a decoy was ridiculous. You're just giving the Chargers a break when you do that. The Chargers were hoping to God you weren't going to throw the ball to Odell Beckham or give Odell a 50-50 ball. You know, you don't see the Chargers using Mike Williams as a decoy, right? Like, they're going to go to the guy that's hot. They don't do that all the time here. They don't always go to the guy that's hot. And Odell, he started to heat up in that fourth quarter, whatever you want to say about him. You know, you can complain about that one ball he dropped. He made up for it. He made like 2 great catches. And he really didn't get an opportunity to do anything else outside of that. So I really don't care that he dropped that one ball, but right on time. Cam Vex with the $2 super chat. Odell got to catch that ball in the second. Yeah, he's got to catch that. But I mean, it's one part of a whole puzzle. And just 3 targets for him in that kind of a situation where you have to score 50 points to win a football game. Nah, man, you got to stop thinking you're smarter than everybody and, we're just going to put Odell on the decoy. Use Odell. You know, it would be like parking a Ferrari outside of your house so nobody steals your Honda Civic. It's ridiculous. It's really ridiculous. They need to incorporate that more in there, especially in a 2-minute drill. And I know Baker's capable of doing it. I know Odell's capable of doing it. They need to trust that it's going to happen. I understand they had concerns about the offensive line. We don't want to hold the ball. But the offensive line was blocking it up. Once you realize that, you got to give the offensive line a chance to fail. Here's the thing that I'm worried about with this coaching staff at times. They don't give their players full opportunities to either succeed or fail. They try to create as safe as an environment as possible, and sometimes it's too safe, and you can't let somebody succeed in that area. Today, that last drive, they didn't let Baker be in an area to be successful. They told Baker to check it down. They told Baker to play it safe. And then once your back was against the wall and you had 20 seconds left in the game, now throw it downfield. You didn't give him a chance. You should have threw it downfield at the beginning of the drive when you had that chance, when you had that ability to kind of catch the defense off guard, but you did not. And that's a problem. Seth Miller donated $10 through a super chat as a Browns fan here in Texas that couldn't watch the game at work. How should I feel after the game? Obvious, we took the L, but is there still a positive feel? Appreciate you, Q. I mean, it's a loss. It's a loss. I don't think it's going to be as devastating as some people on Twitter are going to make it seem to be. You lost the shootout here on the road in LA. You know, it would have been a great game if you could have came up with it, but you lost the game on the road, and it's going to come back because the Chargers, they're going to be in the playoff picture. I guarantee it. They're going to be a really, really good football team. This wasn't like, I would be more upset if this loss came against like a team like the Houston Texans or something like that. That's devastating. That's a loss you should feel extra bad about. Losing a shootout with one of the best offenses in football on the road, it sucks. It's not recommended, but hey, you know, it happens. Now you just got to worry about winning the next one, right? Now you got Arizona in the exact opposite situation coming to your place. Probably going to be another shootout. Now you need to get that win that that the Chargers got on you, even though, hey, look, that's an AFC loss. It's going to hurt you when it comes to tiebreakers. So, you know, keep that in mind, but it's not anywhere near like a devastating loss. The next super chat comes from Dave May, who sent $20. Appreciate that. He said Chargers were 4 for 4 on fourth down, including the pass interference on the Browns where the Chargers pulled that terrible pass. And we'll talk about that. But the Browns could not get the Chargers off the field. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I know the defense gave up a ton of points, and there were probably about 5 or 6 plays that were really inexcusable for the defense. But I don't think that was a case of the defense playing is awful outside of those 5 or 6 plays as it was a case of the Chargers offense playing well. You got to give it to them. Like, you have to give credit to the Chargers. They had the guts to go for that 4th and 2 on their own 20, the guts to go for that 4th and 7. Every time they went for that 4th down, that was gutsy. And they did it because they needed to. And they got them. So, sometimes in football, the other team plays well and they just play a little better than you. And right now, the way the NFL works, even if you have the best defense in the NFL, if you're playing the best offense in the NFL, they're probably going to score a lot of points. That's just how it works with the rules. Josh Z with the super chat, $5. We still have not played any division opponents. Do you think that will be when they let Baker loose? They got to start doing it now, man. Arizona's not going to put up 20 points next week. Like, you probably going to have to put up 40 to beat them. So, let it loose. What the hell you waiting on? Let it loose. Stop being cute. Stop waiting to the division. Stop doing all this cute stuff. I'm tired of the cute stuff. I'm tired of the trying to outthink the rest of the league. It's like that Donovan Peoples-Jones where he runs at the ball because there's technically some small rule where he can get away with it and it won't cost him anything, but it depends on it being called or whatever not. And it's like, just don't do that. Nobody else does that. Don't be that cute. Just play football. They just need to play football. Next question comes from Nick Hall. It says, defensively, got to be better. 40 points is unacceptable. Yeah. I mean, you score 41 points, you expect to win the game. So yeah, it's not a great performance by the defense. I will say defense had all kind of injuries throughout the game where people were coming in and out, and it led to some obvious communication breakdowns in the secondary. So, there's that. Next question comes from D Flat, who says, is OBJ capable of doing it? Haven't seen him in a long time. $15 million shouldn't drop a 4th down pass that hits him in the numbers. A lot of you guys are way tougher than Odell. I'm just noticing this. You guys are way tougher than Odell than some of you guys were on Baker last week. Odell dropped 1 pass in this game on 3 targets. It wasn't a good drop. It was a bad drop. But everybody want to focus on that? Nah, man. Nah. I'm not about to jump on Odell for 1 drop in a game where there were multiple mistakes made by people who are more going to be in control of what the game's going to happen than Odell Beckham. Don't put this on Odell like that 1 drop cost the Browns a damn game. And you pay Odell $15 million, you should target him more than 3 times a game. That's what the criticism is. Why are you only going to Odell for the first time in the 4th quarter? Ask that question. Seriously, why is Odell's first target in the 4th quarter? What other team doesn't target their best receiver until the 4th quarter? Ask that question. Seriously, the guys who want to be critical about Odell, I want you to ask yourself that question. Every other team you can think. Do the Bengals wait 4 quarters to target Jamar Chase? Do they? Because I don't think so, right? Ravens don't wait 4 quarters to target Hollywood Brown. Why are we waiting 4 quarters to target the best wide receiver on the team? Why are we waiting 4 quarters? Why are we thinking that we can just use him as a decoy and never throw him the ball and that's going to work? That's the question you should be asking. He dropped the 4th down pass. Yeah, it sucked. They got the lead. They got a 2 touchdown lead after that. So it didn't cost the game. But the serious question is, what is the philosophy going on in the play calling between Alex Van Pelt and Kevin Stefanski that allows your best receiver to consistently not be targeted until the 4th quarter? What is that philosophy? It's not a good one. Next question comes from Heath, who says, I'm still upset about that pass interference. It cost us a game. Sure, we had plenty of time after that, but, for F's sakes. A lot of things cost the Browns this game. That caused one of them. A lot of things cost the Browns this game. This is much like the Chiefs game. A lot of things cost the Browns this game. Some of it were on the Browns. Some of it was on the coaching. Some of it was on the staff. A lot of things cost the Browns this game. By the way, just a lot of things. All right, Jay Cortez, 2 things stick out. A 4th and 2, we throw it early in the game. And a 3rd and 10, we run. I don't know what they're thinking. And Jay Cortez, you've locked onto something excellent, right? This has been a change because you know what? Last year on 3rd down, they weren't running the ball. Last year on 4th down, they definitely didn't run the ball a lot. They trusted 6 to make plays, and 6 made plays. I don't know what is happening that they don't trust them to make plays. It's weird. It's like they just got to this team. It's like there's no trust right now with the offensive play calling and the offensive playmakers. That needs to change. That doesn't mean people need to be fired or removed from responsibilities. They need to acknowledge that there is some lack of trust here. The ideal that you are paying so much money for Odell Beckham, you invested a 1st overall pick in Baker Mayfield, and those two aren't even targeting each other in the most important drive of this football game is ridiculous. Again, I want to ask this question. What is the fundamental breakdown that's going on that allows you to not even target Odell to the 4th quarter? Like nobody, how does that happen? How does all 3 of his targets happen in the 4th quarter? How's that acceptable from a play calling standpoint? Imagine if they didn't give Nick Chubb a carry until the 4th quarter. That would be ridiculous, right? That's what they're doing with the wide receivers right now. Something that's ridiculous. I know David Njoku had a big game, and hats off to David Njoku. He played his ass off. I'm not trying to say, David shouldn't get the targets. David should get the targets. But why are we targeting and drawing up plays for Anthony Schwartz? Why are we targeting 4th down plays for Anthony Schwartz? He's the 5th string wide receiver. It's ridiculous. Next question comes from Brandon, who says, are defense plays great against crappy offenses? That's not, you just watched them play great against a good offense last week, Brandon. Where's that coming from? You think Justin Jefferson and Adam Thielen are terrible? And Dalvin Cook? Nah, man. Defense played bad because I told you, styles make fights in the NFL. The way that the Vikings play, more suitable to how the Browns play. But the way that the Chargers play, that's a hole for the Browns. They don't do well over top. Like, they don't have great communication in that back end, and it showed. I'm going to finish the super chat, though, Brandon. I appreciate you for it, even though I disagree with you. And crappy against great offenses, 26 points in the 4th quarter. Yeah, they had a leak, but I wouldn't call what they did last week against a bad offense at all. I think that's overshooting that one. The next one comes from New Hawk, and I know I'm behind on what the ticker's saying, but I'm just trying to catch up here. There's a lot of you guys, thankfully, supporting the show this week. I appreciate y'all. News Hawk, Stefanski, awful. Run 3 in 3rd and 10 is stupid. Yeah, I don't think Kevin Stefanski's an awful coach by any means, but I do think that was an awful play call. I hated that. There's nothing you're going to say that justifies that. Whatever went into that play call, dumb. 100% dumb. Not going to defend that. Next one comes from K Fresh, who says, Woods had Miles on the other side of the defensive line in the beginning of the game. He kept switching up the line when he needed to stick to working what he was working during the game. K Fresh, are you complaining about Miles moving on the offensive line? Because he does that every game. Like he's gonna not just be in one place. He's gonna be all over the offensive line, and that's to get him the optimal matchup. You know, they played well, the Chargers offensive line. They did. They held up pretty well. Buckeye Steve, who says folks calling for Stefanski and Baker have to go, have me rolling. Nobody. And by the way, you're going to see a bunch of people say some stuff during these post-game shows that nobody actually means. Like whenever you hear somebody say, we need to trade X player, but they don't have a trade, like that they want to make up for it, they're just mad and they're just saying stuff. So don't take it too serious. But I appreciate the super chats from both you and K Fresh. Yeah, nobody misses Hugh and Kaiser. Yeah, we don't want to go back to that. Next super chat here from Rilo, who says Odell has been a straw man to the extreme. Yeah, I mean, honestly, if your takeaway from this game is Odell dropped the pass on the 4th down, you just don't like Odell. That's on you. They ain't got nothing to do with what actually happened in this game. Like, honestly, like I'm just calling this out for anybody who's actually doing this. I don't know if a lot of people are actually doing this. If you're calling out that the whole game happened, the pass interference, the 3rd and 9 run, being stuffed on 2 3-and-outs when you had a 14-point lead, the other team scoring 47 points. If your main takeaway is Odell dropped the 4th and 1, you just don't like Odell. Then you just have an axe to grind with him. That's just what I'm going to say there. If that's your main gripe with all the stuff that went wrong in this game, if that's what you're complaining about, you just have a hard on for Odell and you don't like him. That is what it is, right? D Flat says, because Odell is washed. Doesn't look washed. He doesn't look washed. He really doesn't look washed. He looks like he's getting open. Last week he was open. He could have had 200 yards last week. Baker just couldn't find him. Well, Baker couldn't find him. Baker found him. Baker couldn't get the damn ball to him because it was so inaccurate last week. This week he was, but they weren't drawing stuff up. They decided this whole game Odell was going to be a decoy. And they didn't target Odell to the 4th quarter. And when you did target him, he made a toe tap catch? That didn't look washed. That really didn't look washed. Let Odell go to a different team. He won't look washed. Easley Bash, $5 super chat, Stefanski and AVP, fix it up. I think that's accurate. They need to get into a room and ask themselves, why are some of these things happening? Why am I calling a 3rd and 9 draw? Why am I doing that? Why is that happening? Why aren't we targeting Odell earlier in these games? Why is it that in the last drive, we're not even going to our best players? You know what I mean? Why are we consistently trying to go screens and stuff when we need big plays when we didn't have to do that last year? What's going on? What's the problem there? What's going on with the play calling? How can we relay that to our quarterback? How can we make this offense better? Because today, the run game was clicking, pass game was clicking, but coaches weren't. And that was the issue at the end of the day, right? Team gave you 40 points. And some people are saying, hey, I'm nitpicking. Of course I'm nitpicking. This isn't a terrible team. Browns going to probably win 13, 14 games. So whenever you have a criticism about a 13 or 14 win team, yes, you're going to be nitpicking. But guess what? Everybody else is too that's going to be this good. The Chiefs are going to be nitpicking. The Ravens are going to be nitpicking because at the end of the day, when you're playing at this level of football that the Browns want to play at, those little nitpicks, they matter. So, yeah, I'm nitpicking. But, this isn't a team that I'm hoping to go 8-8 and just happy that they won or happy that they played well on the road. Like, we're past happy for 8-8. There's going to have to be some nitpicking, some criticism here of this team to get better. Good job, Rob. We're pacing for 13-4. That's good enough for the playoffs. Yeah, you'll make the playoffs. I'm not like, the Browns aren't going to make the playoffs now. No, they're going to win like 13, 14 games. They're going to make the playoffs. But these are the things, right? Because this was pretty much like a playoff level game against a playoff level team. And what was the difference in this game? It wasn't the players, really. You were down. Both teams had injuries. But the difference in this game was play calling. Play calling, and you could say the refs, but more so play calling. So those nitpicks, when you're playing against a good team like the Chargers, going to matter. Next week against the Cardinals, going to matter. Yeah, when you're playing the Texans, this stuff don't matter. Offense can play terrible against the Texans. You're going to beat them because you're better. Same thing with the Bears. But when you're playing good teams, this stuff's going to matter. And ultimately, we want the Browns to be good and have a good record so they can beat those good teams in the playoffs and win a Super Bowl. Hot Damn 89 says, people hate OBJ for no reason. He had 3 targets. Tyreek Hill was second in NFL in drops last season. People need to chill on Odell. I agree. I don't know how your takeaway from this game is a dude who had 3 targets in the game. I don't know how that's your takeaway. Really don't know. How Odell, who had 3 targets all in the fourth quarter, caught 2 of them. How that's your takeaway, that they targeted him too much. I think that's ridiculous. I'm going to just call that out as ridiculous. Next question comes from Cranky, who says, Schwartz is not impressing me at all in any way. Gives me the Callaway feel for some reason. Thoughts on that? Schwartz ain't supposed to be playing right now, man. He's a developmental piece. Like, he's supposed to be in there for a gadget play. I don't know why they keep throwing him out there and thinking he's going to make plays as a wide receiver. He's not there yet. I just think he needs to develop. I don't see any, like, fundamental problems like with Callaway and his drops. He's just not a good receiver yet because he needs to develop. Next question comes from Thomas, who says, isn't it the same reason Stephon Diggs wanted out of Minnesota? I'm concerned that Stefanski just doesn't know how to scheme downfield passing. Might be. Might be a hole in his game. Even though I do think Stephon Diggs had big numbers the year previous with Kevin Stefanski. In the second half of that year, when Kevin Stefanski took over as offensive coordinator, interim in that year, I do think Stephon Diggs had a big year, and they were attacking downfield. It's just with Kevin Stefanski, for whatever reason, his first instinct during the season is not to make mistakes and to play scared football, and it's not helpful at times. The next one, Yeezy, says, that second to last offensive drive was a complete joke. I'm not even the biggest Baker guy, but who we have right now. Oh, okay. I'm not the biggest Baker guy, but that's who we have right now. So give him the ball, make him earn his money. Absolutely, especially when he was throwing 88%. Like, Baker was actually, like, on target, accurate today. It wasn't like Minnesota where you're like, nah, he don't need to throw the ball anymore. You know, he was on target all day. Don't know why they didn't get him. Corey Nolan says, so complaining people, we are 3-2. Yeah, we're 3-2. You have a tough game next week because I don't know who's going to be healthy against the Cardinals. And then if you're 3-3, it's going to be tough to get back into this division race, even though you got all your division games in front of you. So there's still a chance there, and you're not out of anything. It's a long season. And you know, when people complain, I think the complaints need to be in the context of that. Next one from Heath Taskis, who says Odell is getting separation. They're just not throwing it to him. He actually looks good. He's just not getting the targets. I would say the same thing about Donovan Peoples-Jones too. It's not an accident that both of the boundary receivers are getting open, but they're not throwing the ball to him. I don't think that's a coincidence. I don't think it's a coincidence that the only receivers that have had big games in this offense so far at the beginning of the season, the way the play calling has been, have been tight ends. It's designed that way for whatever reason. They're not trying to go deep. They're not trying to take risks. They're not trying to let Baker throw these 50-50 balls. They're trying to have him attack in the middle of the field. I don't know what math's telling them to do that, but Baker can do both, and I would love to see them take advantage of those opportunities. Arendal says, I'm ready to call in if we're doing Patreon calls. Just want to catch up on these super chats before I get to Patreon calls. Max Haymaker says, Odell's blocking is so good, we might have to put him on the O-line if we keep losing players. Yeah, I want to see what Odell looks like at left tackle. I mean, apparently that's the only way you're going to use him. Because right now they're just not using the dude. It's frustrating that they're not using him. Chip Willis with the $5 super chat. Brandon Nodine with a $5 super chat. I'm more upset with the 3 and out when we were up by 1, plus OBJ is not the problem. Yeah, I'm upset with all the 3 and outs. I'm upset with the play calling once they got up 14. Then they lost that lead, got blessed with a missed extra point, and did nothing with it. Did absolutely nothing with it. I said on stream, be aggressive, attack downfield. Why aren't they doing more play action boots? You know, they ran right into some looks where I could see from the broadcast angle that the defense was going to over pursue. If you would have pulled it, booted out, you would have had a big play there. Why aren't they being more aggressive? Why aren't they attacking more? I know that other teams have good defenses, but at some point you need to trust that your offense is just better. The Chargers don't change up what they're doing because the Browns have a good defense. They went straight at it, and they won that battle. Need to be more aggressive. need to be more aggressive. And you know what? At the end of the day, if it's a lesson that they're learning or learn and they get to carry that on for the rest of the season, they become a better football team, I'm fine with it happening here. But I hope it's a lesson they learn. Again, the context of this all, Kevin Stefanski's only in his second year as a head coach. There are things that he has to learn as a second-year head coach, and this is one of them. Squirrel Turtle says, worst officiating I've seen in a while. NFL has to do something to hold bad calls accountable. That pass interference play was the worst call I have ever seen. It was awful. The flag came out late, and it was obviously OPI, not DPI. I don't know why it's not something to where the refs can at least, when they huddle up to have that conversation, right? Why aren't they also, why don't they have somebody with a tablet that can show the replay that we see on TV? It wouldn't take that much extra time. I'm not saying do a review, but have somebody show the visual information to the referees so they can see it, then see, hey, is this a flag we want to pick up? I don't think that's too difficult to ask for. I don't know how you hold a bad call accountable that's helpful for the team that gets a bad call. Like, oh, then the referees get reprimanded. Who cares? At that point, the game's over. But take the extra mile on plays like that, especially in the fourth quarter, just to get it right. Somebody should be able to look at that and go, might want to pick that up. Why not? Why not? Jethro says, sorry, I'm late. And if it's been touched on, but what's up with the weird offensive play calling? Oh, it's been touched on. It's been touched on for the last hour. We have been talking about the weird play calling. But thank you for the super chat, Jethro. Again, it's something that I've noticed happens when Alex Van Pelt's calling plays and also when Kevin Stefanski's calling plays. It is an offensive philosophy, and it needs to be adjusted. There's no way around it. So Train, besides the Cardinals, the Browns got the Broncos, Steelers, Bengals, Patriots, then the Lions. So we have a nice gap to get things right. I'm going to let y'all know. I know I ain't been high on the Bengals. You better take the Bengals name out of there when it comes to get right games. The Bengals ain't going to be no get right game. Broncos, yeah. You probably get right on a Thursday night at home against the Broncos. Steelers, you should beat the Steelers. Patriots, yeah, you should beat the Patriots. Lions, yeah, definitely, you should beat the Lions. Bengals at home, I think you can beat them, but they're going to be another tough game. That's going to be a tough game. You see how they playing down there? They're playing well, especially on the offensive side of the ball. Jamar Chase is going to be a problem for the secondary. And I was not high on the Bengals at all at the beginning of the season, but I've watched them throughout the season. They ain't no get-right team. I'm going to let y'all know that one. They getting right. The Bengals are getting right. Let's see. Are there more super chats? Yeah, Dave May with the $5 one. We got to remember Clowney was out in the entire game, and we lost by 7. Yeah, it sucks. Hey, look, injuries can't always be the excuse, though. And neither can penalties or blown penalties or whatever it is. Refs can't always be the excuse. Sometimes you just didn't do enough to win the football game. And that's what happened. At the end of the day, you didn't do enough. Did not do enough. Needed to do more. Is what it is. Next one comes from... Are we caught up? Chat, let me know if I'm caught up on super chats. Did I miss anybody's super chat? On my screen, it's telling me I'm caught up. But let me know if that's an error. Yeah. So offensively, that's my thoughts on the offense. Needs to make some adjustments. The talent's there. The players are playing well. Coaching's holding this offense back. And it's crazy because the coaching blew this offense up to so much proportions last year. But now I think they're holding them back a little bit. And that can be adjusted easily. So they need to make that adjustment this week. Defensively, I'm going to lean on being lenient on them just because they had Greedy go out for a period of time in this game. Then he came back and then he went back out. You had AJ Green out there, and then he went out, and then he came back in. Then you had MJ Stewart out there. There's no real excuse for the miscommunication between Ronnie Harrison and John Johnson, and it's been bad all year. John Johnson just hasn't played well. So that needs to be fixed. The back end has been awful. And I know people want to blitz more, but if the back end's going to look like that, you can't blitz. You can't blitz, not against Justin Herbert. That's not what you want to do. Also, what else defensively? I felt like Miles played well enough, knowing that he had no help on the defensive line. Malik McDowell played very good. JOK, not his best game. He was there. He made a lot of plays. He just missed a couple of plays. So, it's definitely a game he can improve from. Felt like Denzel Ward was fine for the most part. I don't think he was the dude that was covering Mike Williams. But again, Mike Williams was getting open because nobody was guarding Mike Williams most of this game. Like, that was the biggest problem for the Browns. Nobody's responsibility was Mike Williams in this game. And they kept losing him in coverage. So that's a communication thing. That comes back up again. And that might have something to do with taking out Malcolm Smith and putting in Anthony Walker in there more. I'm a firm proponent that, hey, I like Anthony Walker. I like what he represents. I like the guy. I don't think he needs to be out there as much as he is right now. I think Malcolm Smith helps that communication out. I think he helps out with being more athletic on that defense. I think Malcolm Smith should start. And this game was nothing but proof for that, because the miscommunication in the secondary was awful. And Splack hits on it with a $5 super chat. 3 blown coverages at least. And is there not a rule where you can challenge pass interference calls? They trialed that rule a couple of years ago, and then they did not reinstate it. So, no, you cannot challenge a pass interference call. And I don't think you should be able to challenge a pass interference call, just because when you put it in that, when you make the confrontation or the video a confrontation for the referees saying that you were wrong, they're always going to be defensive about it, right? That's just how that works. I think it should be something to where, hey, if you have a tricky call like that, a pass interference call, have somebody be able to pull out video. I mean, this is the 21st century. We all have a phone in our pocket or a tablet at our lap. It's not hard to get a nice size screen out there so the refs can look at the play to see, hey, did I see this wrong? Let me get the benefit of slow motion. Let me use this technology to help me make the right call, because sometimes my eyeballs aren't good enough, and then make the adjustment there and pick up the flag from there. I think there should be some kind of security blanket for the referees to not make a bad call there. That includes them being able to look at what we see on TV. Really. It shouldn't have to be another team forcing them to do it. It should be them doing it because they want to get it right. That's really how it should be. Matthew Grayburn says, why do you think we never seem to have open wide receivers on normal dropbacks like other teams? Always seems to be tight. Let me tell you, Matthew, we do have open wide receivers. The play, I don't know what the progressions are on the play, but it seems to be tight ends, running back, then wide receivers. And when that's the case, you're not going to hit wide receivers in motion. You're not going to hit wide receivers in stride, because you're just not targeting them in rhythm. So they're open. Donovan Peoples-Jones is getting open. Odell's getting open. Hell, Higgs gets open all the time. Just not getting on the ball. Need to get on the ball more. The tight end should not lead, and David Njoku's excellent. So David Njoku aside, the other tight ends, and at this point, Hooper's not even a starter anymore. The other tight ends not named David Njoku should not be getting more targets than Odell, than Jarvis, than, Rashard Higgins or Donovan Peoples-Jones, who played well today. I don't know why they didn't target the wide receivers more. Like, it's a philosophy thing, and it needs to be stopped because it's killing this team. Well, not killing this team. It's just not good offensively. It's not good football. It's really not good football. Elliot Taylor, why didn't Stefanski trust Baker Mayfield at the end? And if he doesn't, should we trade for Russ? How are you going to trade for Russell Wilson? If that were like an actual thing the Browns could do, maybe you entertain it, but you're not going to trade for Russell Wilson. So it's not even on the table. And Russ ain't even been playing well. So I don't even know if that solves your problem there. But yeah, he trusted him last year, And it paid off. I don't know why he's not trusting him, but it's frustrating to watch because I feel like we all know Baker's a lot more capable than what they're giving him the opportunity to be right now. All right, so we've talked about Kevin Stefanski a ton. I feel like it's about time we give Kevin Stefanski time to kind of react or talk. So let's go to his press conference right here. I am going to use the restroom while this plays, and then we'll react to what we hear. So hopefully this bears out.
Denzel Ward, neck. We will MRI that tomorrow. Jack Cochran,
I'll be right back.
Knee, we'll MRI that. And then MJ Stewart has a right hamstring. We'll MRI that as well. You know, disappointed. Give credit to the Chargers. They played, they played a good game, and we didn't come through there in a couple spots. I'm sure there's about 1,000 reasons why, but we got to make sure that we, make the corrections from this game and then move on, because I know we got an undefeated team coming to our place next week. With that, I'll take any questions.
Coach, right there towards the end of the half, you had 21 seconds on the play clock, and then you threw a screen pass at the end of the first half. My question is kind of, why did you call a timeout right there and try to give yourself opportunities to convert more end zone plays versus kind of letting the clock run out?
Yeah, that's a good question. I'll have to look at it again, but off the top of my head, I don't have a good answer for you. But obviously, we need to come through, and I need to come through for our team.
Kevin, could you take us through not the last offensive series, but the last one you guys had it? What you were thinking, especially the way that Justin was playing for them.
Yeah, we obviously wanted to score. Ran it on first down, second down, tried to get a double move on their corner. We really wanted the clock to run there as well. And then that was incomplete, and just with where we were at our tackle position, quite honestly, just didn't feel like I wanted to give a chance to something bad happening there. So, again, all these things I would tell you, I need to do a better job, and I share in that loss just like everybody else does. So we're going to win these games together, we're going to lose these games together, and that's certainly, I need to do a better job.
Are you planning to get it back? Are you counting on getting it back when you run on third down? Either they're going to score or you're going?
I mean, that's the 3rd and 10 back there, I think, is I don't know what the percentages are, but obviously we're trying to hold them. And it's hard to say when they scored so many points, but they were converting 4th downs, they were getting DPIs. We just had to make a play there, and we didn't. And listen, our defense gave up 7 points last week, 6 points the week before. So, again, like I said, we'll win as a team and we'll lose as a team. We'll share in this.
Whew. This team a different team. How has he changed the kind of face of this team?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know Coach Staley well. We didn't play them last year, so I can't give you a great answer.
We got a super chat from who? Dog Pound, who says we need to play. We play not to lose during key drives down in the stretch. We should be aggressive and put the game away. Offense is too good to be passive. Dog Pound, I think you're 100% correct. I think that's exactly what I've been trying to hit on here. The offense, way too good not to be aggressive in these moments, not to push it downfield. Hopefully next week Jarvis Landry comes back and then they start pushing it and attacking downfield. Maybe this is a Jarvis Landry not being 100% so they don't have faith in the wide receivers thing. If that is the case, I think it's stupid because I think you have enough. But, maybe that's the case because when Jarvis was hurt last year and he wasn't 100% but still out there, offense wasn't clicking. And then by the time he got healthy, which was week 9 last year, the offense started to click again. But maybe it's Jarvis, right? I don't know. But hopefully Jarvis comes back next week, and that makes a difference.
Their entire coaching staff.
And boy, with Cleveland, I'm just letting y'all know, I know Browns fans well enough to know y'all and know myself that we're going to eat that up if that happens, right? If Jarvis comes back and then the offense, they go downfield and attacking, we are going to eat that up.
Obviously a good team.
But is there a point in the game you just say, hey, we have to change the game here because no one's going to stop? We know this is
Ain't it crazy how so many Browns fans at the same time will love Jarvis Landry, and I think loving Jarvis Landry, correct thing to do. Jarvis is awesome. But, like, also hate Odell, who's Jarvis's best friend. Like, it's weird to me, that dynamic between some of the fans and Odell. Because y'all love Jarvis. And Odell and Jarvis are pretty similar.
What do you mean, Zach?
Is there something strategically you have to change? Or?
Yeah, you know, we're trying to score every time we touch it.
Got another super chat here from Tommy, who says, I sat still for about 30 minutes at the end. This one hurts more than usual. We were so good on offense. Great work, Q. Keep the content coming. Love it. Yeah, and it's a weird game where we're complaining a lot about the offensive play calling where the Browns scored like 42 points, right? But that's just how the game went. But yeah, this is going to sting. This one's going to suck. And it might cost you some seeding in the playoffs. You know, who knows? You know, they got a lot of reckoning to do with how they've played against both those AFC West teams, both as a coaching staff and as a team. You know, playing well enough to win, but not well enough to win the game, unfortunately.
To stop them. We've tried various coverages. As you know, I hate to even mention injuries because they're part of the game. But we were into our depth in a couple areas, and I think, you know, I trust the guys that were in there. But we didn't come through, so I would tell you we have to look at all of it. You can't just say it's one thing or the other. I'm sure it's a multitude of things.
35-35, you guys get the ball back at 7:35. And you're running the ball, but they're not stopping you. I mean, would you like to eat 6 minutes on that drive? And
The one we scored on?
goes down without the
Yeah. I think it's hard.
By the way, this is unrelated to football at all. Any of y'all play Splitgate? I just started playing it. I like it a lot. Let me know if y'all playing Splitgate. You know what I mean? You don't always have to be we angry at the Browns right here. We can talk about something else real quick. Splitgate. Y'all play it?
It was the third quarter? In the fourth. Yeah, I think points are a premium. I think there are opportunities, certainly late in games when you want to use the clock. I don't know if 7 minutes was really on my mind. I wanted to make sure we scored there. I thought our defense did a great job coming back and forcing them into the end zone so we could touch the ball one more time. But, yeah, I would just tell you guys that there's certainly –
Got a super chat from Soul Train who says, for as bad as everything is – oh, let me get it so I can see it. For as bad as things are, things still seem significantly better than last season. I understand why you feel that way, and here's why you feel that way. And here's why a lot of Browns fans feel that way, in my opinion, right? You feel this way because the team is significantly better than last year. Like this team that they roll out there every week, significantly better than the team that went 11-5 last year. But they're not executing at the level that they were last year, right? Last year's team overachieved a little bit because they were executing well. And that's more satisfying to watch. This team not executing well, but raw talent, they could do things that they couldn't do last year. Like win a game when your offense lays a turd. Or win a game like they did against Minnesota, right? Where they could just shut them down. So they're a better team. They're a much better football team. They're not executing at the right level, which hopefully the good news is that's the one thing you can fix throughout the year is execution. And you execute later and you win football games and you start looking like a Super Bowl contender. Right now we look like a conference contender. We don't look like a Super Bowl contender. Hopefully they execute better. They have a lot of room to grow. I gave this team like a C+ in my first quarter grade because they're nowhere close to what they can get to potential-wise. Nowhere close to what they can get to potential-wise. They are a better team, but they're not close to reaching their potential because they're not executing well. Offensively or defensively. Not consistently well enough. Other than the run game. Run game gets no criticisms today. No, I refuse to do it. I refuse to be critical of anything Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt, and that run game did. But other than that, we're not executing well. We're not executing at the same level. That's my opinion on why I think that's happening. Let's go back to Kevin.
Things that I am really disappointed that I did in this game. Not, you know, and I got to come through for our team.
Evan, what happened on there's two, obviously, busted coverages, Mike Williams with long touchdown. The first one, it looked like A.J. Green and Delpit. What should have happened there in the second one? I mean, nobody was even close.
I would tell you, you know, we'll talk about it. It's obviously a miscommunication, and we had too many of those. They had big plays. They got behind us on some broken plays. They had some DPIs. So we got to do a better job. But I got to look at it and obviously make sure that we make those corrections.
How difficult the game is to coach when things kind of go haywire, especially in the second half like they did today?
Yeah, I think you have to coach the game that's in front of you, and that's how the game played out today. They're a good football team. I give credit to Coach Staley and that staff and those players. They beat us. Yeah, he's a good player. He got the ball out of his hand. I thought he made plays with his feet. And then, again, was outstanding on fourth down. And we got to find a way to try and get off the field.
The last drive, it felt like he didn't go down the field until forced to. So it was really right. Why not go down the field sooner, and why did it take so long to even just get a couple first downs?
On the last play, yeah. What I would tell you is the first goal there is to try to get to midfield to put yourself in position to throw a Hail Mary. I also just wanted to be smart in our protection to make sure we weren't holding the ball. That's a good front, and we were in our depth there at tackle.
How do you size up Akers there?
Yeah, I got to look at it. Obviously, I thought he was getting the ball out of his hand. I think he was good in the completions, which is what we, versus a lot of their zone, we wanted to make sure we could get a bunch of completions. But to give you a better assessment, I'd have to look at it.
Kevin, did you get a good look at that fourth down pass interference and kind of what happened on that call?
I didn't get a good look at it, no.
I mean, just what did you think of the call?
They called it.
Somebody said JOK in the hospital. Yeah, small Lizzie said JOK in the hospital with the $2 super chat. Hope he's okay. Hope it's just a precautionary thing. Don't know what happened that would make him be there. I'm waiting for more information there. But if I find out more, I'll talk about it. But right now, hopefully, we're just going to hope the best there.
Yes.
Thank you for the super chat and the support.
Great job pushing that.
High-level thought-out game, fourth down, 2-point conversions going for it, dragging him in the end. You probably don't feel like answering this now, but does this feel like the way football is headed in general? Just this felt like two well-coached teams that play the analytics games, and like this is where the game is.
Well, the defensive coach and me would say, I hope not. We gotta find ways to get stops, and we have been doing that as a defense. We didn't do it today. Again, whatever the reasons are, we'll talk about them. But you just got to be ready for whatever game it is. And for instance, last week, I don't think anybody saw that game unfolding like that. So, as coaches, we got to react to the game that's being played.
Can you talk about Nick Chubb and the production you get out of him, and what makes him such a special runner?
Yeah, Nick is powerful. Made some big runs for us today. He's got breakaway speed, as you saw. Great teammate.
Kevin, did the Chargers adjust to your use of the three tight ends that you opened with, or did you just decide to go elsewhere with your offensive line?
I think, yes, they adjusted. They're a multiple personnel, multiple front defense. So I think within that 13 personnel that you're talking about, Tony, I think we saw a bunch of different fronts and coverages.
All right, so that's the Kevin Stefanski press conference. I think we're going to go John Johnson. That's going to be the last press conference. We're going to go to a Patreon call-in right now. Hold on one second. Let me set that up. Try to set that up here. But we're going to go to a Patreon call-in, or at least hope to. Now. What? Yep. Hello.
What's up, man?
All right, hold on 1 second. I want to make sure. can the chat hear him? Say something so that I can make sure the chat hears you. Wait, did you say anything?
Yeah.
Yeah, can you? Oh, hold on a second. Let me just take these AirPods off because they're not working.
Looks like they can hear me.
Are they reacting? All right. You can hear me?
Yep.
All right, let me make sure. Chat, can you hear him? Let me get some thumbs up in the chat if you can hear him. Yep. All right, cool. So, Arendal, you want to call in? What did you want to talk about?
Okay, so first off, I've called in a lot, and we usually agree on most things, but I do have a couple disagreements today, so I just want to prime that in advance.
Uh-oh, it's going to get fiery.
So, I do agree that Stefanski's play calling was pretty rough today. I want to say, though, that the fourth down early where Odell dropped the ball, I think that was a weird call, but it worked. So I don't want to count that one against him. The last drive, though, where we throw those two short passes, looks really rough. And I want to see the all 22 because you don't know. Maybe there was routes downfield that just weren't open. But and even you, I think we're giving them a little heat on this and the chat. But I think we got to kind of wait till we see the all 22. Like maybe that was just the only available option. Maybe I'm giving too much of a benefit of a doubt to Kevin there. What do you think about that?
I think if you end up in a situation to where that is your only option, is what they did there, you didn't call a good enough play because somebody should be not open, right? It's the NFL, but at least to the point to where you can try to give if they had called a play, right, and they weren't successful, but it was apparent that they gave an athlete an opportunity to make a play on the football. Like when they threw that deep ball to Anthony Schwartz, nobody's complaining about that because you at least gave him a chance to make a play. The issue is that you didn't even give a dude a chance to make the play on there, right? It ain't that you ain't make the play or that it wasn't there. It's that you didn't even give somebody to make a play. And you pay some of these dudes out here good money to make plays. David Njoku, why didn't he get an opportunity to make a play in some of these situations? Why weren't we?
Oh, yeah.
Why weren't we trying to throw it? Like, why weren't we trying to give Odell a 50-50 ball? Like, the one thing you can say to Chargers, they gave Mike Williams the ball anytime that they wanted. And Mike Williams was covered most of the game, but he was in a position to make a play, and he made play. Same thing with Keenan Allen. That's the issue I have with the play calling. Not necessarily where the ball went, because that is a issue, and that might be a Baker thing, that might be a Kevin thing, it might be a both thing, right? They come together. It's that we're not even on a 3rd and 7 giving somebody an opportunity to convert that 3rd and 7 because we're not even throwing the ball at the sticks. That's the biggest issue that I have there. And then the 3rd and 9 draw, I don't know how anybody's going to defend it. I'm sure people will, because people will defend anything or get mad about anything nowadays. But it's one of those things where I just did not understand that. Real quick before we continue this conversation, doll, I'm going to get to the super chat from the Trucking Fish. How mad are you with the referees? I know we coached poor down the stretch, but they're really bad calls. Higgins got tackled. Green was awful. I just personally, the way I live my life, I don't like to spend a lot of energy being mad at people that you can't really do anything about. The refs stunk. They were awful. But what is my anger towards the referee? How can that be constructive? How is that going to help the Browns win a game? At least if I'm being critical of the Browns and what they did not do, more people can understand what they need to do to be successful in spite of that. So I'm not somebody who thinks it's really productive to come on here and yell at the referees. Not saying that if you do that, you're wrong. It's not a wrong opinion to have to be mad at the referees. It's just, for me personally, what I do, I don't think it's good form to sit here and focus on the referees just because I don't know what else you can really do with all that. But what else do you want to talk about, man?
So Just a comment on the referees. I generally agree with that point. I feel the same way every week. This week was egregiously bad, so I get where people are coming from bringing it up, because I was calling it out from the first quarter on the weird running spots. So it was really bad this week, so I definitely get why people are upset about that. But I agree with your sentiment there. You just got to get over the refs at a point. They're bad for everybody, and I bet Joey Bosa won't be making comments about how they were bad this week because it went in his favor. But I agree with the sentiment there. The other thing I wanted to talk about was Odell getting targeted. I completely agree with that. Why? I get that he dropped that fourth down, and he shouldn't have, because that play call was questionable, but it was there and it worked. But why are we not? Njoku ran a 70-yard touchdown earlier or whatever, 50-yard, 60.
Peoples-Jones broke off for 25.
Yeah. Why are we not? It's hard to tell without the all-22, but why are we not throwing the ball down the field at all there at the end? That's rough to watch. It hurts.
Yeah, and when you do, you're throwing it to Anthony Schwartz, who, like, no disrespect to Anthony Schwartz, he ain't ready yet.
He's not.
Yeah, and it's just kind of frustrating to see. And also, it's not what happened last year. Like, if this were like a 2-year thing, I would be upset. But remember when they went down the field versus the Bengals? They were attacking downfield hard in that game. No timeouts, less time than they had here and more yards to cover. They went downfield with Rashard Higgins and Donovan Peoples-Jones. They got way more than that right now. And it's just, it's frustrating to see them try to do a slip screen, try to do these like cute little screens when they need to get downfield. It's like they don't trust that they can get downfield with the drop back. And I don't think it's because they don't trust Baker. I think it's because they don't trust the offensive line right now because of how they performed the last 2 weeks, and now they're extra injured. But you got to give credit when credit is due. Joey Bosa did not have a single sack in this game, and we did not have a single starting tackle in this game. So they held up. They held their end of the bargain. Baker was getting time, but they didn't trust that it would be there, so they didn't draw up anything to go down the field. And I think that was an issue. Another super chat here from Raw Toast, who says, Stefanski lost us that game, y'all. The refs just sealed the deal. Something's been up with play calling, Stefanski's calling this season compared to last. I would even say this is very similar to what Stefanski did his first half of the season last year versus his second half where he loosened up. It's a Stefanski thing. Even if you look at his 2019 stuff with the Vikings, it's very similar tell there. If you look at like Kirk Cousins' first 5 games in that offense, and then like the last games there, he went off there. So yeah, Stefanski at his core, especially at the beginning of the year, does not want to turn the ball over. But I think being afraid to turn the ball over is exactly how you either turn it over because you're just going 3 and out, which is the same as a turnover, or you actually turn the ball over. I think they're playing the offense. You know what it is? This is the best analogy. When they get up by 2 scores, go into the offensive version of a prevent defense. They do the Schottenheimer, but on the offensive side of the ball.
Yep.
And that is the most disappointing thing about it so far. They're so much better than doing that. But anything else you want to talk about, Ren?
Yeah, I got 2 more quick ones. So one's directed at chat, not you, but a lot of people in chat are saying to give AVP play calling. I don't think that's going to help. Like, we need Kevin to get better at play calling. We don't need to just hand it off to someone else. AVP can get poached by another team. We might not have him, but Kevin's going to be here, so we need Kevin to get better.
Also, remember, AVP called the plays against Pittsburgh, and Pittsburgh almost came back. So same exact thing. Same. It's not Kevin or AVP. It's not like a difference. They're lock and step in this thing. They believe the same exact thing, which is good, right? Because we experienced Todd Monk and Freddie Kitchens.
Yep.
These two are lock and step with each other. But So even if you change one, it's going to be the same philosophy. They need to get together and say, hey, I get we don't want to turn the ball over, but something ain't working, right? Like they need to make that adjustment, because just switching the play caller, I don't think it's going to do a single thing, because they're going to call the same game. They agree on all of this stuff.
Yep.
It's not like they're arguing with each other. This ain't like Greg Williams and Freddie Kitchens beefing with each other. This is a different situation here. So I don't think switching the play caller is going to do anything. And that's a good thing, because you don't want that dissonance between your coach and your offensive coordinator. But, ain't really going to change nothing when you talk about who's going to call the plays.
Yep. Like I said, I know you didn't say that, but I saw a lot of people in chat and on Twitter and all that saying that that's not going to fix the problem. We need Kevin and his staff to get better, because switching who's in the helmet isn't going to make any difference. Last thing was the PI. Earlier you said you didn't think it should be challengeable. Maybe I misunderstood what you were saying there, but I do think
overall,
it should be.
as like a fan of the game, I think when you make something like pass interference challengeable, right? The issue isn't that it can be reviewed. That's the good thing that comes out of it. The issue is that you then make correcting a call something that the refs have to naturally get defensive about, which is going to lead them to not change what they saw. I think if you give them that in a less confrontational way, where they don't feel like the integrity of their job is being challenged by a coach, then you might have a chance of them be able to look at it and go, oh, yeah, he was grabbed. I saw it on the slow motion. Let's change it from there. I don't think it shouldn't be something that a coach should force the referee to do. I think it's something that the refs should do just to make sure they're not going to muck up a call in a big game. This should be something that they want to do. They want to look at the video. They want that extra information. It doesn't have to take forever, but I think if you fundamentally, when you go to it as a challenge, we saw this when they did it. They're just not going to overturn anything ever. And because it's about proving a point, my eyes aren't wrong, and it becomes that kind of a thing. But if you make it something to where, hey, it ain't like you made a mistake. We just want to see more information. Like when they review a touchdown or something like that, right? It's not as controversial because they're just trying to see the information. That's why they made turnovers and touchdowns automatically something that gets reviewed. So it's not something that's confrontational to the point to where you get a stubborn referees who don't want to change it because they feel like they're having their integrity challenge. I think there's a human aspect to this that needs to be looked at when it comes to getting the results you want. And I think that was overlooked with how they implemented it the last time and how it can be changed to implement it better.
Okay. Yeah. I see where you're coming from there for sure. I wish they would just be better and, be able to handle that feedback, but you're right. That's not how people are. So I just wish we could figure something out there, because, man, it hurts to watch that. It just hurts to watch it.
Yeah, it definitely does. They need to figure out a way to just find that happy medium there. But was that everything you want to talk about, man?
Yeah. Thanks for having me on, brother.
Oh, no problem, man. You have a good rest of your day here. All right, guys, we're going to go to one more press conference. I believe we're going to go to, who is it, John Johnson? Yeah, John Johnson, because I want to know what he has to say about a lot of these blown coverages. So I want to hear from John Johnson, because he's the only other person. I have another super chat from Raw Toast who says PI should always be reviewed like TDs. Allows for too big of a swing during a game. It's getting insane. And I know why they don't want to do it always, because it would take forever if every time there are pass interference, they have to look at it. But maybe it should be something like, hey, maybe 5 minutes left in the fourth quarter, we're going to look at this. You know what I mean? Or, have somebody in the booth, if they see something that might be a big miss when it comes to a pass interference, buzz down to the officiating crew and say, hey, we're going to look at this for a little bit. You know what I mean? It doesn't have to be a complex solution. I just think it has to be something that they're willing to address, not because coaches want them to fix it, but because they want to get the call right themselves. And I don't think that energy is coming from the right place. I don't think they want to get the calls right themselves. So we'll see. We will see here. But thank you for the support there on the super chat. We're going to go to John Johnson real quick. See what he has to
Chromebooks have
say
the everything button.
about the performance of this defense. Because it was the back end that really let us down today, and it was a lot of John Johnson chasing, so he needs to play better.
That was my first time, but
that was actually a smart play when they made him score.
Before, and it came to a moment, it's situationally aware, and we gave ourselves a chance, to go down and score at the end. So that's what that was all about.
John, all four of their touchdown passes were to receivers who were at least 5 yards of separation. What happened in the secondary on some of those plays?
Yeah, I mean, we just had some busts, guys. We weren't really doing our job. We probably, the first half of the snap, we thought we were doing our job. The play kind of went on. Those were long plays, and I feel like we just didn't get our depth and finish the play. And like you said, guys were just wide open. So we got to get on the tape and make some changes and fix the stuff like that.
Williams had 2 deep touchdowns off those. And the first one was Grant and A.J. Green, obviously, miscommunication. The second one, nobody was there. You threw your hands in the air. What happened on that one? What was supposed to happen?
It was a split safety concept, and there's supposed to be somebody back there between the corner and the safety. And I feel like we just had 2 guys on a shallow route, and that was like a deep route. So it kind of just was a bust. And I didn't even, usually I check to make sure I got a guy, just in case I got to squeeze it. But I kind of trusted that somebody would be there. And I don't know what happened. I got to get on the tape. But, in split safety, it's supposed to be somebody back there. So we just got to get on the tape and fix it.
You guys have been playing so well on defense heading into this. How do you kind of explain some of the breakdowns like you're talking about now?
It's hard to explain. I mean, those plays are plays that we make in our sleep just from guys being there. It's not like, it was 50-50 balls, and it's just bust, real complete bust. So, I mean, it's hard to explain. You just got to go to the tape and just see where we went wrong and trust our technique and move on from it.
How concerned are you with some of the injuries in the secondary right now? I mean, you guys were down to your last guys, basically.
Yeah, that's the name of the game. You hate to see how it turned out, mid-game. But I think once we go back to Cleveland, look at the drawing board, see, move guys up, move guys out, and stuff like that, I think it'll be just fine. But mid-game, it is kind of hard to make those adjustments on the fly. And it's just something that's a part of the game. It's the NFL, so we just got to try to work through it.
What do you think of Herbert? Seemed like he just outlasted you with his arm.
Right. Early on in the game, I felt like we did a great job. Besides that long ball, I felt like we were on top of everything. Didn't really give up much, and I felt like we're in a good position to dominate that game. But like you said, it's kind of like he just didn't go anywhere. He stuck in it. He hung in there and made a lot of big throws and ended up making more plays than we did.
Hey, John, you played for Brandon Staley last year with the Rams. What makes him such a good coach?
I think first off, he gets his guys to play. He's a great leader. You'll want to run through a wall for him, and then on top of that, he wants to be it's a chess game with him. You want to be 5-6 steps ahead of your opponent, and I think he does a great job of that. And I think he had more to outlast us than we did on this day. So maybe we'll see those guys again, and I'll be looking forward to it.
What's the overall disappointment level? Obviously, that 14-point lead, and then it turned into a shootout. But just the overall disappointment of leading on the road 14 points and not being able to close it out.
Right, you never want to lose a game that you felt like you could win. So we're definitely disappointed, but we're just going to ride it out throughout today. Tomorrow we got to wake up with next week on our mind. We're going to go through our corrections and stuff like that. But we're definitely disappointed in a game that we thought we should win, in the AFC. So it's going to be tough, but we got to get through it and move on.
This reminds you of that Monday night game in Mexico?
Oh, yeah, it ended up being LA, but yeah, it did a little. Yeah, it was just high scoring. In that game, it was a lot more takeaways on defense. That's a thing that we could have done better in this game. But, when it's a shootout like that, it did kind of remind me of that.
Can you feel
You guys
it?
played Kansas City real tough, didn't we? You come here today. So just kind of what's your feeling on how close you guys are at 3-2?
Right, we got to find a way to win these type of games because, later on in the season and the postseason, these are the type of games going to be, close games, shootouts, or they could be defensive games, but that are still close. So I think you just got to find a way to get over that hump, win these games, and it really comes down to locking on your technique late in the game. I think we kind of lost that. Like I said, we lost a lot of players, so that might have played a part in it, but it's just something we got to go back to the tape and move forward from.
Is there a moment when you kind of look up and you realize, okay, this turned into a shootout, and do you have to change your mentality at all when that happens?
Coming out of the half, I felt like, we're in a good situation. We got the ball and stuff like that. And I can't think of, one specific moment, but it definitely was okay, a time where we were like, okay, it's on us now, defense. We got to get a stop. That's the only way we're going to win. And unfortunately, we couldn't get a stop. So we're going to take that one as a defense. Anytime the team scores 40-some points and whatever, how many yards they had, we got to take that as a defense, so we got to get better.
And then did you have a good look at all on that fourth down defensive pass interference?
When I got back to my phone, one of my buddies texted me and said, "You're going to throw up at that call." I mean, when you got a big body jump ball receiver like Mike Williams, I mean, you got to try to fight him in some type of way. So, I mean, those calls usually go to the offense. I feel like they were just hand fighting. I don't think he impeded any progress. I also think the ball was uncatchable. So it's just, something that a break that didn't go our way, and we can't really control that. I didn't look at it.
Staley often refers to some players as gangster players. How would you describe his coaching style?
Like I said, he definitely gets his guys to play in a way I feel like it's kind of unique. I mean, I can't really point out one thing that he does different from anybody else, but I just think, when it comes down to it, when that ball hits the kicker's foot in the beginning of the game, you're ready to go. And he just likes guys that make plays whenever they can. And, even if they're not, in a good situation to make a play, he trains his guys to be able to do that. So I think that's what he's referring to.
I still had it on mute because there was an echo. My bad. My apologies. I was muted on Zoom. But what I was getting to was I feel like we covered a lot on this stream. And I think the most important thing not to lose the grip of is some of the good things, right? Like we'll talk about the bad things when we break down the film and everything else. But also, like, Nick Chubb had a great game. I think David Njoku played incredibly well. Donovan Peoples-Jones, had a great moment in this game here. So offensively, you saw some things wake up. Baker, 88%, 305 yards, 2 touchdowns. Just wasn't enough to win, at the end of the day. I have my theories and opinions on what happened at the end of that drive, but, we'll look at it when the tape comes out to see if that's the truth there. But, a game where you probably should have won. You hope you could have won, and that's why it does hurt. But a game that you can definitely recover from and take a lot from here with the team. Again, doesn't excuse losing. I don't think there's really any excuse. I think the Browns blew multiple opportunities this game to win it, but I don't think this is a doom and gloom loss. I think this is you played a good team on the road and you lost, and you'll get better. So there it is, folks. This week's game wrapped up. Be sure to be subscribed and notified when I post the post-game breakdown tomorrow morning. So make sure you subscribe for that. You don't want to miss any of that. But I want to thank you guys for joining this stream. I want to make sure you guys have a great day. Have a good night.